Ob das so eine gute Idee ist, da runter zu gehen?
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Okay, da hinten, da leuchtet's irgendwie. Aha.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
Wie am Meeresboden, ne?
All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Jetzt erinnere ich mich tatsächlich wieder an die Geschichte. Ist ewig her, dass ich die gelesen hatte.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
Ja.
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Okay. Ja, das ist schon, okay.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Ob das so eine gute Idee ist? Aber ja, wahrscheinlich schon. Oh Gott. Die Geräusche. Oh Mann.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
Oh! Oh! Was ist denn jetzt los? Ja, okay, interessant. Ist gut gemacht.
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Ja.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books. Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Cthulhu? Erzählmethoden. Dagon enthält viele Themen und Erzählmethoden, die Lovecraft in seinen späteren Werken weiterentwickelte, wie beispielsweise das Erzählen der Geschichte durch Schnitzereien, at the Mountains of Madness, The Nameless City, Tagebücher und Notizen der Charaktere, The Shadow Out of Time, The Hunter of the Dark, aus dem Meer auftauchende Inseln, The Call of Cthulhu, fiktive Wesen und Gottheiten, die auf Ereignissen und Mythologien der realen Welt basieren, Migo in The Whisperer, in Darkness. Ja, die Geschichte gilt auch als Ursprung des sehr beliebten Cthulhu-Mythos. Auch einige von Lovecrafts anderen Geschichten enden ähnlich wie Dagon, aber gehen wie hier nicht zu sehr ins Detail, um das Ende nicht zu verraten. Okay.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint.
Oh.
Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seemed to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh. Oh Gott.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Naja.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Oh, das sieht aber auch schon krass aus, wenn man sich jetzt vorstellt, wie groß ist ein Mensch im Gegensatz zu einem Wal, ne? Okay.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Oh Gott, da blubbert irgendwas.
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Ja, okay.
Vast, Polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith.
Hi! Was ist das denn?
About which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Oh Gott.
I think I went mad then.
Okay, ja, kann ich verstehen.
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Okay.
I believe
Oh.
I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Täusche ich mich oder werden die Teile immer größer?
indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
Ah, wir sind wieder da. Gottes Willen.
At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital.
Okay.
Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Huh.
Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Ja, das bringt dann herzlich wenig. Okay. Wir haben keinen Körper. Schön.